One especially comes to mind, and we've been talking about private fire investigation and the insurance claim representatives investigation and those being parallel. But there's another component to that as well, which is the public officials investigation. So you kind of have three independent investigations going on all at the same time. One that I had was it was a situation in Georgia where the story was that the person had gone to Disney World. They had everything was fine when they left. That's always a story, right? Everything was fine. There was nothing out of the ordinary, nothing different happening that day. That's always a good question, by the way. What was different that day? Sometimes that gives you a clue about what may have contributed to the fire. But in that case, the story was that everything was fine. All of my appliances and all my furniture and all my contents were there before I left. I got a call that there was a fire. I came back and somebody had, since the fire, stolen everything in there, refrigerator, all the appliances, things like that. So um, the public investigator had indicated that the fire was just too severe for them to be able to do much with it to prove that there was criminal involvement. During my initial scene size up and looking at the fire patterns, talking with some of the neighbors, doing that neighborhood canvas we talked about, and the initial interview with the insured, I started to raise an eyebrow. I wasn't getting a lot of the same stories when I would talk to the different parties. Um, Took some samples. We even had the canine brought in. I had worked at the time. I had a gentleman in the private sector who had an accelerant detection canine. Brought him in. The canine did alert, and we took some samples. We were able to identify some gasoline in the scene. But when it comes to the contents that we were talking about, I was able to take a look at the fire patterns and the receptacles in the kitchen, a couple other places, and say to myself, these things were gone before the fire even happened. So um, that was a case where the public, private, and public investigator, private investigator, and insurance claim representative all got different stories. Once the investigation was complete, we shared all those stories and were able to identify how glaring those differences were. And so I'm not sure how ultimately how that worked out, whether they were able to deny the claim or not. And again, that's really beyond our scope, but I think that's a pretty good example.